Throughout the ages, a profound mystery has woven itself through the tapestry of human spirituality, the sacred relationship between consciousness and a remarkable plant that has captivated and concerned civilizations across millennia. This enigmatic connection, shrouded in ancient wisdom and modern controversy, speaks to a deeper truth about humanity's eternal quest for spiritual enlightenment. In the depths of time, from the mist-shrouded temples of ancient India to the sacred ceremonies of early Middle Eastern cultures, cannabis emerged not merely as a plant, but as a gateway between worlds. Ancient texts speak of its power to part the veil between ordinary consciousness and realms of profound spiritual insight. These ancestral voices whispered of a substance that could unlock dormant capabilities within the human soul, offering glimpses into dimensions beyond ordinary perception. The historical record reveals a pattern of reverence and caution surrounding this mysterious plant. Sacred texts from various traditions describe it as a tool for divine communion, while ancient healers regarded it as a bridge between physical healing and spiritual awakening. In the smoke-filled chambers of forgotten temples, spiritual seekers would commune with higher realms, seeking wisdom that transcended ordinary understanding. Yet beneath these historical accounts lies a deeper question that echoes through time. Could this controversial plant truly hold the key to unlocking hidden chambers within the human soul? The answer may lie in the remarkable visions of one of history's most enigmatic mystics, whose insights would later challenge conventional understanding of consciousness and spiritual evolution. As this exploration unfolds, one must consider the possibility that within this ancient plant lies not just a substance, but a gateway to profound spiritual revelation. The evidence suggests that cannabis may serve as more than a mere botanical curiosity. It could represent a tool for consciousness expansion that our ancestors understood far better than modern society acknowledges. In the chapters that follow, the veil will be lifted on revelations that have remained hidden from public view, insights that challenge our understanding of both spirituality and consciousness. These discoveries, viewed through the prophetic lens of Edgar Cayce's visions, may forever alter our perception of this controversial plant's role in human spiritual development. In the depths of American history, there emerged a figure whose spiritual insights would transcend time itself. Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet. He stepped into prominence during the early 20th century, carrying with him an extraordinary gift that would forever alter our understanding of consciousness and healing. Through his remarkable ability to access universal knowledge while in a trance state, he left behind a legacy of over 14,000 documented readings that continue to intrigue scholars and spiritual seekers alike. During his deep trance states, Cayce would traverse the boundaries between physical and spiritual realms, accessing what he described as the Akashic Records, the universal repository of all human knowledge and experience. His insights into healing and spirituality often challenged conventional wisdom, suggesting that consciousness itself was the bridge between material existence and divine understanding. In these altered states, he spoke of how certain natural substances could serve as catalysts for spiritual awakening, though he approached such matters with careful consideration and profound respect for their power. The depth of Cayce's spiritual legacy becomes particularly fascinating when examined alongside his perspectives on consciousness-altering substances. While in trance, he frequently emphasized the delicate relationship between physical compounds and spiritual evolution, suggesting that certain plants held keys to unlocking higher states of awareness. These readings often pointed to the existence of natural gateways that could either elevate or hinder spiritual development, depending on the intention and preparation of the seeker. His work revealed an intricate understanding of how earthly substances could influence the soul's journey, speaking of vibrational frequencies and energetic alignments that modern science is only beginning to explore. Through his visions, Cayce painted a picture of reality where physical matter and spiritual essence were inexorably intertwined, each affecting the other in profound and often unexpected ways. As we delve deeper into Cayce's insights, we must consider how his understanding of consciousness-altering substances might illuminate our modern questions about cannabis and spirituality. What hidden wisdom might lie within his thousands of readings about the relationship between natural compounds and the evolution of human consciousness? Perhaps, in the depths of his trance-induced wisdom, lies a key to understanding the true spiritual potential and risks of this ancient plant. Through the mists of time, ancient civilizations have whispered tales of a sacred plant that bridged the realms of medicine and mysticism. In the carefully preserved records of Edgar Cayce's readings, one finds remarkable insights into cannabis, a plant whose spiritual significance has been both celebrated and feared throughout human history. Cayce's visions revealed an intricate understanding of cannabis that transcended its mere physical properties. In reading 826-8, he spoke of certain plant substances that could open doorways to higher consciousness, describing them as tools that when properly used could align the physical and spiritual bodies. Cannabis, he suggested, carried this dual nature, a medicine for both body and soul. Ancient Sanskrit texts echo these revelations, referring to cannabis as one of the 5 sacred plants, believing it capable of bestowing divine wisdom and spiritual enlightenment. The Scythian priests would burn cannabis in their ritual ceremonies, allowing the smoke to carry their prayers to the heavens. These practices weren't mere superstition, but carefully documented spiritual technologies that recognized the plant's ability to shift consciousness toward the divine. Yet Cayce's insights went deeper still. His readings suggested that cannabis could serve as a catalyst for spiritual awakening, but only when approached with reverence and proper understanding. He spoke of how the plant's effects on the nervous system could temporarily thin the veil between physical and spiritual realms, allowing glimpses of higher dimensions of consciousness. In the temples of ancient Egypt, where Cayce's past life readings often returned, cannabis was used in healing rituals that combined physical treatment with spiritual transformation. The priests understood that true healing required harmony between body and soul, and certain plants were seen as sacred mediators in this process. The historical record reveals a profound pattern from the Himalayan monasteries to the Amazon rainforest. Spiritual traditions recognized cannabis as a tool for expanding consciousness and facilitating divine communion. However, these traditions also emphasize the importance of context, intention, and spiritual preparation. As we contemplate these ancient wisdom traditions alongside Cayce's revelations, we must ask ourselves, how might this understanding reshape our perspective on cannabis's role in spiritual development? What forgotten wisdom lies in these historical practices, waiting to be rediscovered by those seeking deeper spiritual truth? The answer perhaps lies not in the plant itself, but in humanity's age-old quest to bridge the physical and spiritual realms, a journey that continues to unfold in our modern world. In the depths of Edgar Cayce's most enigmatic readings, there emerged a profound warning about the duality of cannabis, a substance that, like a double-edged sword, held both illuminating promise and shadowy peril. The sleeping prophet's visions revealed how this ancient plant could indeed unlock doorways within the soul, but not all of these passages were meant to be traversed without proper preparation and understanding. Historical records tell of spiritual seekers who, in their eagerness to pierce the veil between worlds, found themselves lost in what Cayce described as the lower astral planes. These were spaces where confusion reigned and spiritual discernment became clouded, much like ancient Egyptian texts warning of the dangers in premature temple initiations. The plant, according to Cayce's readings, could accelerate spiritual development, but this acceleration sometimes came at a devastating cost to the unprepared seeker. The mystery schools of antiquity understood this delicate balance. They recognized that what opens the door to higher consciousness could also unlock chambers better left sealed. Cayce's readings spoke of individuals whose spiritual progress became stunted, not through the plant's inherent nature, but through their approach to it, treating as casual entertainment what ancient traditions regarded as sacred medicine. Perhaps most revealing were Cayce's insights into how cannabis could affect the subtle energy bodies that connect spirit to flesh. He observed that regular use without spiritual discipline could create tears in these delicate structures, leading to what he termed soul confusion, a state where the individual's spiritual compass becomes increasingly unreliable. These warnings echo through time, remarkably relevant to today's expanding cannabis culture. The sleeping prophet's visions suggested that the greatest danger lay not in the plant itself, but in humanity's tendency to rush towards spiritual experiences without proper foundation. Like building a house upon sand, Seeking enlightenment through external substances alone, without inner preparation, could lead to the collapse of one's spiritual architecture. In these complex times of spiritual seeking, one must contemplate what unseen forces might be awakened within the soul through casual interaction with this ancient plant. How might one's spiritual journey be affected by approaching cannabis without the reverence and preparation that ancient traditions demanded? These questions invite deeper reflection on the responsibility each seeker bears in their quest for enlightenment. The wisdom of the ages beckons us to look beyond simple prohibitions or endorsements, encouraging instead a profound understanding of the forces we seek to engage with. As the veils between worlds grow ever thinner, perhaps the time has come to reconsider how we approach these ancient tools of consciousness expansion. Throughout the ages, ancient civilizations spoke of sacred portals, mystical doorways that bridged the physical and spiritual realms. Edgar Cayce's profound visions revealed an intriguing connection between these ethereal gateways and the cannabis plant, suggesting that within its essence lay keys to unlocking dormant chambers of human consciousness. In the depths of his trance states, Cayce witnessed what he described as luminous corridors within the human soul, passages that remained sealed until specific catalysts activated their opening. These gateways, he observed, resembled the sacred pathways documented in Egyptian hieroglyphs, where initiates would traverse through various chambers of spiritual awakening. The ancient Vedic texts similarly spoke of these inner doorways, referring to them as chakras, while Native American shamans understood them as spirit roads leading to higher realms of understanding. The cannabis plant, according to Cayce's readings, possessed a unique vibrational signature that could resonate with these internal gateways. Like a master key turning in an ancient lock, the plant's properties could potentially activate these dormant pathways, creating opportunities for profound spiritual experiences. However, these openings were not mere portals of pleasure or escape, but rather sacred thresholds demanding reverence and conscious navigation. Within these gateways, Cayce perceived layers of consciousness that spiraled upward, each level offering deeper insights into the nature of existence. The first gateway often revealed personal truths and hidden memories, while subsequent portals unveiled collective wisdom and universal understanding. These passages, once opened, could never truly be closed, creating permanent channels for spiritual growth and enlightenment. Modern spiritual seekers have reported experiences that eerily mirror Cayce's descriptions, speaking of encounters with infinite corridors of light, temporary dissolution of ego boundaries, and profound connections to universal consciousness. These accounts suggest that the gateways Cayce spoke of may indeed be fundamental aspects of human spiritual architecture, waiting to be discovered and explored. As these ancient mysteries continue to unfold in our modern era, one must wonder what hidden doorways lie dormant within each individual's soul. What profound revelations await those who approach these sacred thresholds with awareness and respect? The journey through these spiritual gateways remains deeply personal, yet universally significant, inviting each seeker to contemplate their own path toward higher consciousness. As modern seekers traverse the paths of consciousness, they find themselves drawn to ancient wisdom through contemporary channels. The resonance between Edgar Cayce's teachings and present-day cannabis spiritual practices reveals itself in ways that would have seemed impossible during the sleeping prophet's time. In meditation centers across Seattle, Boulder, and Santa Fe, spiritual guides have begun incorporating cannabis into their practices, discovering parallels with Cayce's descriptions of expanded consciousness. One such practitioner, Dr. Sarah Henderson, a religious studies scholar, documented her 3-year investigation into cannabis-enhanced meditation groups. Her findings echoed Cayce's warnings about intention and preparation. The participants who approached the practice with reverence and spiritual purpose reported experiences strikingly similar to the altered states of consciousness Cayce described in his readings. They spoke of encountering what he called the Akashic records, vast libraries of universal knowledge accessible only through elevated states of awareness. In the mountains of Colorado, an interfaith community has established a sanctuary where cannabis is utilized as a sacrament, following strict protocols that align remarkably with Cayce's emphasis on purposeful spiritual work. Their ceremonies begin with periods of silence and intention setting, creating the sacred space that Cayce insisted was crucial for any spiritual exploration. The facilitators report that participants often experience what Cayce termed soul memories, glimpses of past incarnations and cosmic understanding that transcend ordinary consciousness. However, not all modern applications honor the depth of Cayce's insights. The commercialization of spiritual cannabis use has led to what some scholars call spiritual bypassing, using the plant to escape rather than explore consciousness. This divergence from Cayce's teachings serves as a powerful reminder of his emphasis on proper preparation and spiritual maturity. The evolution of cannabis spirituality in the 21st century presents a fascinating mirror to Cayce's prophecies. As more individuals seek meaning through altered states of consciousness, his warnings about the necessity of spiritual groundwork become increasingly relevant. These contemporary explorations raise profound questions about the nature of consciousness and the role of plant teachers in human spiritual development. In contemplating these modern interpretations, one must consider, how do our current practices align with the timeless wisdom Cayce channeled? What hidden truths might emerge when ancient knowledge meets contemporary spiritual seeking? The answers may lie in the careful examination of our own spiritual intentions and the courage to explore consciousness with the same reverence and dedication that characterized Cayce's work. Through the mists of time, sacred circles have formed around the ceremonial use of cannabis, where seekers of truth gathered in pursuit of collective enlightenment. Ancient wisdom keepers understood that when minds unite in spiritual communion, doorways to higher consciousness often reveal themselves more readily. Historical records speak of gatherings in ancient temples, where holy men and women would share in the sacred smoke, their consciousness expanding in unison as they sought to pierce the veil between worlds. In the depths of Hindu traditions, the sacred herb found its place in group ceremonies, where devotees of Lord Shiva would gather under the stars, their collective prayers rising with the fragrant smoke toward the heavens. These gatherings were not mere social occasions, but carefully orchestrated rituals where the plant served as a bridge between the material and spiritual realms. The ancient texts speak of how these communal experiences would often lead to profound revelations that could not be accessed in solitary practice. As the mysteries of time unfold, records reveal how indigenous societies across continents developed sophisticated ceremonial practices centered around cannabis. In these sacred circles, the plant was never consumed carelessly, but rather with precise intention and reverence. The shamans and medicine people understood that when multiple souls aligned their spiritual intentions while partaking of the sacred herb, the potential for breakthrough experiences multiplied exponentially. The historical accounts tell of how these group ceremonies often led to shared visions and synchronized spiritual experiences that seemed to transcend individual consciousness. Participants would report experiencing not only their own spiritual insights, but also sensing and sharing in the revelations of others in the circle. This phenomenon of collective consciousness expansion remains one of the most intriguing aspects of ceremonial cannabis use throughout history. In these ancient practices lies a profound truth about the nature of spiritual exploration. The journey, while deeply personal, often finds its fullest expression in the company of fellow seekers. When multiple souls gather with sacred intent, their combined energy creates a vessel capable of holding and amplifying the spiritual current that flows through the plant medicine. This understanding has been preserved in various forms across cultures and centuries, speaking to its universal significance in human spiritual evolution. As modern seekers contemplate these historical practices, they might wonder what forgotten wisdom lies in these ancient ways of gathering. What profound truths might be unveiled when hearts and minds unite in sacred communion with this mysterious plant teacher? The answers perhaps lie not in ancient scrolls, but in the quiet spaces between breaths, where the collective spirit still whispers its timeless secrets to those who dare to listen together. Through the veiled mists of time, personal testimonies emerge like beacons of light, illuminating the profound connection between cannabis and spiritual awakening. As Edgar Cayce had foreseen, these individual journeys often mirror the ancient wisdom he channeled, revealing patterns that transcend mere coincidence. In the carefully preserved records of spiritual seekers, one finds the story of Sarah, a meditation teacher who discovered unexpected depths during her cannabis-facilitated contemplative practice. She described floating through what Cayce had termed the Akashic records, experiencing vivid glimpses of past lives and universal truths that would forever alter her understanding of consciousness. Her account aligns remarkably with Cayce's descriptions of the soul's journey through multiple incarnations. Another compelling testimony comes from Michael, a hospice chaplain whose experience echoes the psychic's predictions about plant medicines opening doorways to higher consciousness. During a profound cannabis meditation, he witnessed what he described as the interconnected web of all living beings, a vision that transformed his approach to end-of-life spiritual care. His encounter bears striking similarities to Cayce's teachings about the unified field of consciousness that binds all souls together. The archives reveal the story of Elena, whose cannabis-inspired revelation led her to understand what Cayce meant by the temple within. Her experience of accessing deep cellular memories and ancestral wisdom demonstrates the plant's potential to unlock what the sleeping prophet called the soul's library. These moments of clarity often came with a sense of responsibility, exactly as Cayce had predicted in his readings about consciousness-expanding substances. These testimonies, each unique yet interconnected, paint a portrait of spiritual exploration that transcends cultural boundaries and time itself. They suggest that cannabis, when approached with reverence and intention, may indeed serve as a catalyst for the soul's evolution, just as the great mystic had envisioned. As these stories echo through the chambers of consciousness, one must wonder what ancient wisdom lies dormant within, waiting to be awakened. Perhaps in these accounts we glimpse not just individual journeys but the broader tapestry of human spiritual potential that Cayce so often spoke about. The question remains, how might one's own soul respond to such sacred exploration? Through the mists of time, society's perception of cannabis has undergone a remarkable metamorphosis, shifting like shadows across the collective consciousness of humanity. In ancient temples and sacred spaces, the plant once held an honored position among spiritual seekers, its essence interwoven with rituals and ceremonies that reached toward the divine. Yet, as the ages passed, these sacred connections became shrouded in darkness, buried beneath layers of fear, misconception, and societal judgment. The historical record reveals a fascinating paradox. While ancient civilizations embraced cannabis as a gateway to heightened spiritual awareness, modern society has often cast it into the realm of the forbidden. This transformation of perspective has created invisible barriers, preventing countless souls from exploring potentially transformative spiritual pathways. The weight of these cultural stigmas has pressed heavily upon the spiritual landscape, forcing many to choose between societal acceptance and the pursuit of deeper understanding. Edgar Cayce's readings suggest that humanity's relationship with plant medicines exists within a delicate balance of cosmic understanding. The stigmatization of cannabis has not merely affected its legal status, it has created deep-seated psychological barriers that resonate through the collective unconscious of society. These barriers have become walls within the mind, blocking pathways to expanded consciousness that ancient wisdom keepers once freely traversed. In recent years, as the veil of prohibition slowly lifts, a new understanding has begun to emerge. Communities worldwide are rediscovering the potential for spiritual growth that their ancestors once knew. Yet this awakening brings with it a profound responsibility, the duty to approach these ancient wisdom traditions with reverence, understanding, and careful discernment. The journey of cannabis from sacred herb to forbidden substance and back again mirrors humanity's own spiritual evolution. It speaks to the eternal dance between fear and enlightenment, between restriction and expansion of consciousness. As modern society stands at this crucial crossroads, each individual must confront their own inherited beliefs and prejudices, questioning whether these limitations serve their spiritual growth or hinder it. In this moment of global transformation, the wisdom seeker is called to look beyond the surface of societal conventions, to peer into the depths of ancient knowledge with fresh eyes. What treasures of spiritual understanding might lie waiting, hidden behind the walls of prejudice and preconception? The answer to this question lies not in external validation, but in the quiet contemplation of one's own heart, where truth resonates beyond the boundaries of social constraint. Through the mists of time and consciousness, the profound revelations of Edgar Cayce have illuminated a path rarely traveled, one that intertwines the ancient wisdom of plant consciousness with the eternal journey of the soul. As this exploration draws to a close, the mysterious threads connecting cannabis and spirituality begin to weave themselves into a tapestry of deeper understanding. The visions shared by the sleeping prophet reveal a complex relationship between humanity's spiritual evolution and its interaction with sacred plants. Throughout history, these gateways to expanded consciousness have served as both bridges and barriers, their potential for enlightenment matched only by their capacity for distraction from genuine spiritual growth. The ancient knowledge preserved in Cayce's readings suggests that the soul's journey transcends simple categorizations of right and wrong, particularly when considering tools of consciousness expansion. Instead, it points to a more nuanced understanding where intention, wisdom, and spiritual maturity play crucial roles in determining the outcome of such explorations. As modern society continues its transformation of consciousness, the stigmas and prejudices surrounding cannabis slowly dissolve into a more measured appreciation of its potential role in spiritual development. Yet, the warnings embedded in Cayce's prophecies remain relevant, speaking to the delicate balance between seeking external catalysts and nurturing internal growth. The profound question that emerges from these revelations is not whether cannabis can open spiritual doorways, but rather what lies beyond those thresholds for each individual soul. The answer, as Cayce's wisdom suggests, resides in the intimate space between personal consciousness and divine awareness. For those seeking to navigate these mystical waters, the path forward requires careful contemplation of their spiritual intentions. Each soul must consider its unique journey, understanding that the gateways to higher consciousness may take many forms, some traditional, others unconventional. As this exploration concludes, the eternal mystery of consciousness expansion continues to unfold. The soul's capacity for growth and transformation remains infinite, transcending any single method or practice. In the grand tapestry of spiritual evolution, each individual thread weaves its own pattern, contributing to the collective awakening of human consciousness. Let those who seek truth consider these revelations not as absolute answers, but as guideposts on their own spiritual quest. For in the eternal dance between plant wisdom and soul evolution, the greatest discoveries often lie not in the substances we encounter, but in the consciousness we bring to their exploration.